It's Coach's Corner with Heck and King and Hayes. There's a lot of names, but we're back. We have the great Allison Hayes with us today to talk Notre Dame spring game and how afraid I should be for the Ohio State Notre Dame game coming up in the fall.
There you go.
Well, I can tell you this much. There's been a lot of talk, and hopefully Allison can kind of clear this up with us a little bit. But so I think everybody just naturally assumed that Sam Hartman was going to be the guy here. But I think Buckner has his own little agenda, and so I don't think that that's necessarily the case, at least according to Coach Freeman, where he says it's still an open competition, right?
Yes, I've been out to practice. I've gotten to see the guys out there together, standing side by side, throwing side by side, and to actually see them in motion. And it to be honest, it was a little bit surprising. I think a lot of us expected, media fans, that Sam Hartman, coming as the grad transfer from Wake Forest, 110 career touchdowns, all-time touchdown leader for the ACC. I mean, he's got this list of stats. So you see him, and he's got the look, let's face it. I mean, he looks like a model, and you are expecting he's going to come in and he's just going to own the job.
He's the next Jimmy G, huh?
Yeah.
He looks the part.
No,
so that means, I mean, I've not really paid any attention.
Well, so that means that me and Pat could come in and play quarterback for Notre Dame.
Oh, we got absolutely. Right. NIL modeling contracts all set up to go.
They would tell us not to take our helmets off.
Okay.
And give you the shield.
The shield and everything. Like, even on the sideline, just leave your helmet on, King.
But to see them in person, the one thing that was really surprising to me, and we've got some video that we're going to show you that I've shot just on my phone being at practice, but was size. The size makes a difference. When you use the eyeball test, I was really surprised that Sam Hartman is kind of small. I think they're listed only a fraction of a difference in size on their roster, but when you actually see them in person, Sam is pretty small framed. He is a little bit shorter than Tyler, but he's also narrow. Like he's not real broad chested. He's very narrow. His legs are very, very skinny. And that was surprising to me. Not that makes any real difference, but there's been this argument with Drew Pine, too short, Ian Book, too short. So there's been this, ongoing list of short quarterbacks at Notre Dame in recent years. And here comes a new guy in, and he's actually shorter than Tyler Buckner. So that was surprising to me.
So have they gone live yet? Have you seen them like in semi-live where they've had pass rush where, is he having trouble looking over the lineman? I mean, I have Wake Forest. It seemed like he didn't have any trouble throwing the ball. That's for sure. I just wondered if, with Notre Dame's schedule, will he have trouble seeing over people?
It'll be interesting. We've seen them in scrimmages, but that we don't, it's not like fully live, sure. But we have gotten to see them in action. And I don't know that that's been the difference or not, but there's been a lot of overthrown passes, a lot of dropped balls, a lot of just kind of off target. He said himself that he's having some, growing pains as he's transitioning, learning the new playbook, learning everything. One thing that stood out to me too was interesting that Sam said was that he's having trouble taking the center exchange because at Wake Forest, he only took that in victory formation. He was almost always back. And so he had room, he had time. And so I thought that was really interesting. And what a luxury, right?
That's something you don't think about, but that's very true. A traditional quarterback under the center compared to back in the shotgun, that's two different things. And just getting under the center is a whole different beast in itself.
Well, I think that he, the whole transition period for him is different because he called the plays at the line of scrimmage. They had all that play system where you look over there and they give you the numbers. With Notre Dame, they huddle up a little bit, and so I think the whole complexity of the quarterback position is kind of hitting him all at once. But when you say, is he too short? He wasn't too short at Wake Forest, man. Come on. He threw for a lot of yards, threw for a lot of touchdowns. I think it's just going to take him some time to get ingrained in the system. And let's face it, Tyler Buckner's been in this system now for a couple of years, and it's second nature to him. And Tyler Buckner is going to take off. He's going to run. So I think he's a different type of quarterback than Sam Hartman. But we brought Sam Hartman here for a reason, and I fully think that as you go through a college football season, it becomes very difficult to only have one quarterback that's capable of playing. And so the more quarterbacks in that quarterback room for Marcus Freeman, the better off he is.
I think so.
Agree with you on that.
I was going to say, Allison, go ahead and finish. And I was going to ask about the running backs. Go ahead.
Sure. So I think that Buckner's kind of gotten a little bit of a raw deal in the sense that, fans like get him out of there. He's not good. But he was extremely highly touted out of high school. He's extremely athletic. We've seen that athleticism and at times, but he's also just been battling injuries so much that we haven't really gotten a chance to really see what he can do. When you look at, he didn't get to play last year in the spring game because of an injury, and then he got injured in game 2 of this season. And, so it's like he has the ability, I think, and I think that it's interesting that it almost seemed like it was Sam's job to lose as opposed to Tyler's job to lose. So it's an interesting dynamic for sure. But I do agree with you, Heck, that I think that whoever is going to be the starting quarterback, that we should see both guys get some action because they do bring different skill sets. When you have the ability to run like Tyler does, it just opens up different avenues for you, but you still have to have a pure passing game. And a lot of that comes down to the receivers, and they've not had, other than of course the best tight end in college football in Michael Mayer, they've not really had the wide receiver play that they've needed in the last couple of years. So we'll see how that develops as spring and now we get into fall.
Let's not forget about Tyler Buckner's bowl game. I thought his bowl game was really good, and I thought he was put in a couple of tough situations by the coaching staff where they had ran that football down the field and they're on like the 2-yard line, and now they're going to pass instead of just handing it off again because when you're at the 2-yard line, there's no room in the end zone. I mean, everything's clogged up, and I thought he showed a lot of poise. I thought he played really well and brought the Irish back and won the game for the Irish. So I think he's got that in his hip pocket too. And Marcus Freeman,
MVP of that game.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And Marcus Freeman has great coaches and they have great coaching staff. They'll have film on every throw that these guys make in the spring and in the fall, and I'm pretty confident that the decision they make will be the right one for Notre Dame at the quarterback position.
And if you think back a year ago when we were getting ready for the bowl game, all the talk about who's going to be the quarterback in the bowl game, and everybody knew Buckner was brought in here for a reason. He was the starter. Pine was the backup. Pine played all year because Buckner was hurt. He had
to. Right.
So now we got into the bowl game. Let's replaying what transpired last December. Who's going to be the quarterback? Well, when they decided Buckner's going to be the quarterback, that was a message to Pine. It's time for you to go. Now they
adios.
Adios,
man. NIL.
Yeah. Now they bring in the Wake Forest quarterback, and you still got Buckner here, who was your golden boy from California 2 years ago or 3 years ago, however long it's been. He's the starter. Now all of a sudden you're bringing in this other guy that's a starter too. So,
well, I'd like to see what kind of car Drew Pine is driving now in Arizona. Because he transferred to Arizona. He's got to have some NIL money, man. I'm just saying.
He did just fine. Well, Allison, let's jump to we need to talk about wide receivers and running backs too. What's going on with them?
Well, and to just quickly wrap up, you touched on Marcus Freeman. We had the opportunity to talk to him this past weekend, and he said, I can't make an announcement yet or name a starter yet because I feel like I have 2 starting quarterbacks. But he did say that he doesn't plan to drag it out and make it real dramatic. But so I don't expect us to find out a starter one way or the other after this spring. But I think pretty early on in the fall, at least that's what the hope is that they'll kind of make that decision and then be able to move.
And the only thing I
Will they have one guy named as the guy you think by week 1, or do you think he's going to give him some leash to where it may not become a Cade McNamara, JJ McCarthy type deal where they really can't figure out one way or another that Harbaugh did either last year or the year before, or what do you think?
I hope that they're not in that position where by
Because
week
that was a
one you're
mess.
still, yes. I mean, that's that old adage where if you've got two quarterbacks, you don't have one, and
Exactly.
you don't want to be in that situation. But I know I don't.
Yeah.
At least based on what Freeman just told us, I don't think. I think his goal obviously is to have a starter clearly named. But I like I said, I do think that it would be possible if Sam does win the job that we do see Tyler come in situationally, perhaps, when you do want to have a mobile quarterback. So,
Yep.
and honestly, I don't think that might be too bad of a scenario for them, just because of how talented I feel like they both could be. And one more note just about Sam and seeing him live at practice. While he's still trying to figure it out, he's still trying to kind of get a grasp of the playbook and all of that. The way he carries himself on the practice field, he looks like a leader. And you can see that sometimes in guys, right? And Tyler, that's not to say Tyler isn't, but Tyler is definitely much more quiet. He would be more of a quiet leader, lead by example. Whereas Sam, like if you just looked and you had no idea who anybody was and you looked at the field, I think your first impression would be that Sam would be the starter.
And the last thing I can think of, Buckner is Brian Kelly's quarterback. If you think about it, Brian Kelly brought him in, and then Freeman brings in his own quarterback. So does that make a difference? I guess we'll find out.
Well, in theory, they were both brought in by offensive coordinator Tommy Rees. So, and now Tommy's gone.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And that was kind of a topic of conversation for Sam at first too, and he kind of got a little defensive on it. I actually specifically asked him about it, and you can see that on my social media pages if you guys go check it out.
There you go.
There's a good plug.
No shameless plugs are appreciated.
Exactly. Sure. But he kind of, he's like, I'm going to say the same thing, anytime someone asks me about it, but he's like, I'm happy for Tommy, blah, blah, blah. But like, it's an adjustment for him. And, we talked, or we'll see some video of the new quarterbacks coach, who is Gino Guidugli. He's coming over from Cincinnati. He was a quarterback himself. He's tall. Like, you talk about the size, you want a big, tall quarterback. That's what Gino is. So he kind of towers over both Tyler and Sam. But he's like, there you go. Sam is number 10. Tyler's number 12. Gino there in the middle. And I like his personality a lot. And I like that Gino is specifically focused on the quarterbacks. He is just the quarterbacks coordinator. And then they have a separate offensive coordinator who is Jared Parker, who worked primarily with the tight ends. He'll still be working with tight ends, but now he's also overseeing the offense. But it's going to be kind of by committee. I know Dylan McCullough will be also calling. He's the running backs coach. He's going to be calling some plays for the run game. And we can transition into the run game if you'd like.
Perfect transition.
Talk about
there you go.
Tell us who the running backs are. I was just looking at some of the notes. They were talking about Logan Diggs, is that right? And
he's
Jadarian
hurt
Price.
this spring.
Yeah. Now, who is this Jeremiah Love? Is that a incoming freshman?
Honestly, I haven't had a chance to look at very much, but Jabron Payne, he's somebody to be on the lookout for. So they just held their draft. So they did. It's really cute. The Notre Dame football team for spring game, they hold a draft, one quarterback per team. And then they do it like it's the NFL, and they got the guys in the room and they get up on the podium and they announce who they're selecting for their team. And the number one overall pick, because they don't include the quarterbacks, they were already selected. The number one overall pick was Jabron Payne, and he's the young running back coming in. And that was, we're thinking, you're watching that on your computer and you're like, if I am Audric Estime, I'm like, what the heck? What about me? Like, why wouldn't I be number one? But that's a good thing, I think, when you've got Audric Estime and someone's taking this young freshman over him to start. I think that's pretty cool. That's a good problem to have, right? They had a lot of running backs last year, and they're going to have those same depth this year. And a big also point of conversation is the transition of Chris Tyree, who was sort of that smaller speed back last.
No, she froze.
Right.
If you guys can hear me still. Okay.
You're good. You're back.
he's getting some time in at wide receiver. So he's expected to still play some running back, but really when we saw him excel last year, because you had three with Audric Estime, Logan Diggs, and then Chris Tyree, he was kind of getting the pickup spots and as a receiver in the slot, and he really was successful there. So I think we're going to see the wide receiver core strengthen with moving Chris Tyree over there. You're going to keep him happy because he's getting touches. And you still have all this depth and strength on the run game.
Yeah, I think that's great when the running back room has all that competition because, and let's be realistic about it. It's all about carries. I mean, it's all about who gets the carries, and the coaches can. I mean, they can play that off really easily because they can say, "Who's the hot back right now?" I mean, there's different styles of running. There's different styles of blocking, and whichever running back is hot at that particular time is obviously going to get the carries. And when the running back room is full of competition, then I think that's a really, really healthy problem to have. What about the wideouts now? I saw where Styles might move over to the defensive backs.
Yes. So right now he's still planning to be a part of the wide receiver core, but he's kind of been a guy who's been a little disappointing. Everyone kind of thought he was going to have this breakout season last year, and it really just didn't turn out that way. And so Coach Freeman's like, he's a really great athlete. We need to figure this out. And he actually played DB in high school. And so now they're giving him some chances at, I believe it's cornerback actually for Notre Dame this year, he said, but having him getting reps at cornerback, and in that scrimmage, we saw him make a big play, and he's got a really good opportunity. And he's also really kind of a quiet and shy guy. His big brother or little brother, Sonny Styles, is I see the Ohio State shirt you're wearing there.
Yeah.
He's, of course, going to be a stud at Ohio State. But so Lorenzo is normally so quiet and everything. And when we had a chance to talk to him this week, he was like beaming. Like it was fun to talk with him because he was excited about the opportunity. And like, he's like, I come from a defensive minded family. So I think he's excited. It's energized him, and it's giving him an opportunity to, kind of almost redeem himself in a way and get a second chance.
I think one of the things I've been thinking is Notre Dame, for them to become maybe more of a complete team on the national level, they have to improve on their wideouts, because when I think of Notre Dame right now, the last couple of years, it's been the running game and throw the ball to the tight end, and they couldn't throw. There was no wideouts to throw it to,
or no quarterback who could throw it,
or nobody could throw it to them.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be maybe an identifying factor for Freeman's next couple of years. Can he find some wideouts to maybe complete the offensive package to give them the three different pieces of that? Because I noticed they said they're having some issues at tight end. They just don't have the big play tight end right now. They're kind of looking at two or three different people.
Well, and right now they've got 3 tight ends that are injured who won't even really get to play in the Blue Gold game. So there's an already depleted room and terribly huge shoes to fill when you lose Michael Mayer. And then to have 3 of them hurt, I'll be interested to see. That's something I'm going to talk about on my show on Saturday is, how much does that hurt the tight end room when you basically are missing an entire spring and all those practices and all those opportunities.
So that gives the wideouts a golden opportunity to state their case for why they need to be getting minutes and getting touches and getting targets, come fall. So I think it's a great opportunity for the wide receiver crew too.
Do we have any of the names of the wideouts that are vying for playing time right now, Allison?
Yes, and of course I'm missing them on my cheat sheet, but a young guy to keep a lookout for is Rico Flores. He's early enrollee, freshman, personality galore, but talent. Like when we've been at practice and had an opportunity to watch, he's a guy that continuously is catching your eye. Like, there he is again. There he is again. And so it's been fun to watch him. And I think he's going to be a guy that, I don't know if it's going to be his freshman year, but I would say definitely by year 2, he's going to be a name that we're going to be like, oh, wow, here he goes. And he's going to have some breakout catches for the team.
And he'll be one of those guys you just know him by his first name, then you know he's hit the big time.
Rico, that's right. I mean, he's got to have some good NIL deals with a cool name like that.
Yeah, why not? Exactly.
Rico's not from Miami, is he? I mean, is he from Miami?
Let me see. I don't know if I got my notes on him.
Because if he's from Miami, he's probably been at the Copacabana.
Oh,
he's
stop
probably
it.
At the Copacabana.
Now you're stereotyping.
His name is Rico.
Did he wear a diamond?
You got it, Scott. You know where I'm going with it.
Allison,
I know Barry
you get to leave
Manilow.
when all this is over. I've got to stay.
That's great, Scott.
I've got to stay.
Barry
with
Manilow. No, you're right, Barry Manilow, man. Come on. His name is Rico.
Don't Copacabana.
All right.
It's the hottest spot.
Do
So-
we want to talk defensive all? Because the defense has been their mainstay. I've noticed what they talked about, is it Botello?
Yes.
And Mills? Botello
Yes.
and Mills, I've seen their names popping up on everything I've seen.
Yes.
Are they going to be the mainstays for the defense this year?
Well, I think so. Yeah, I think you're also going to obviously see J.D. Bertrand. This is his final go, and he's coming in. I don't know what the exact number was, but he led the team in tackles with over 80 by himself last season. So you've got that. And then Jack Kaiser. Now, Kaiser is hurt for the spring game, so we may not see anything from him, but Jack Kaiser is going to be really kind of, I think, the main staple there. But then you've got at linebacker, you've got Maris Leofau also, who's going to be coming in with a lot of playing time. I think they've got a good core group there on that defensive line. So we could see a lot of different packages where we see guys kind of rotating in and out.
And obviously, in today's world of football, you've got to look at your secondary. I've seen the names, Morrison, Hart, and Lewis have been some names that have come up, but those are all corners. Are they going to move some of those guys to safety, or what are they going to do?
I don't know. Again, that's a position where they're loaded, right? So we've had a chance to talk to them. Cam Hart, another guy who is hurt. He comes back with the most experience, but he's injured for this spring. So that does give some opportunities for some of these younger guys to kind of work their way in and make a name for themselves. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how that all develops, especially when you've got another guy, Lorenzo Styles, who's kind of making his way into the picture. And I think that's a place where there's been a little bit of a weakness there, where you can kind of pick some guys apart and when you're a passing game for opposing teams. And so it'll be a definite need to strengthen that position for the Irish.
Well, and traditionally that's you seem to see incoming freshmen. So come summertime, when they get the freshmen in here for summer school and workouts, and in the month of June, you'll start hearing some new names there. And as we get into camp there in August, they'll be talking about some of these freshmen that are still seniors in high school right now. So it seems like they materialize in that secondary as maybe a nickelback or one of the packages that you have. So I think that's going to be
that's a name of a young guy who's an early enrollee. We had a chance to talk to him earlier in the spring. He's making that transition, and he's been learning sort of both positions now. And I think he likes it. He feels like he's ready to go. Of course, they all say that, right? Like, sure, I'm ready. Put me in, coach.
They have to.
Exactly.
What are they're supposed to say? I'm going to wait my turn.
Right. I'm ready now. Exactly.
Well, tell me real quick.
So who do you think guards Marvin Harris?
Who's going to guard Marvin Harrison? Okay.
The whole team.
So I don't think anybody's going to guard Marvin Harrison.
You just put a
I don't know if Ohio State's got a
it.
QB to get the ball to him. I don't know.
That's the key,
I don't know. Yeah. So has there been any talk about Notre Dame losing the great Harry Heaston and the offensive line? Because obviously Notre Dame has had great offensive line coaching. They've had great offensive linemen. The NFL, I mean, will always try and sign or draft a Notre Dame offensive lineman. Tell us about the new offensive line coach and if they're talking about missing Harry yet.
I love him. Just right off the bat. We had a chance to talk with Joe, and get this, he was actually recruited in college by Harry Heaston. So they already had a connection, and he's had a chance to kind of talk with Harry and almost use him as a resource. But he's also inheriting a pretty solid offensive line right now for Notre Dame. I feel like that's going to be a strong point for the Irish this season. You're not losing too terribly much, and a lot of these guys have experience. So I think that the O-line should be in pretty good shape. And if I'm a player, I'm buying into what Joe has to say. Like his personality and the way that he talks with us, I could feel that energy and I could feel that from him. And then you have the experience of these guys. He's kind of, in a way, a Harry disciple. So I think you're going to have a lot of, hopefully, cohesion there kind of already still in place, if that makes sense.
Well, right off the bat, you're talking about two probably first-round tackles next year in the NFL draft, and in Fisher and Alt.
Yes.
And those guys have been playing for a couple years. And when you got the bookend tackles like that, you don't got to worry about the outside. Now you just got to shore up the center position and the two guards. And Notre Dame's always been strong there.
Yes, I agree.
think I saw Zeke Carroll's been playing center. As I see that name, and he's a regular. He's back, isn't he? The Carroll kid.
Zeke Correll. Yes, he has been around for quite a while, and he's sort of been one of those plug and play where he's moved a couple positions, I think, over the course of his career because of the depth and the great offensive line players that Notre Dame has had during that time period. But when someone was injured, they moved him over. He's a guy where I want to see him solidify his position as, this is my spot. I'm the best at it. I'm not just getting moved in because somebody else is out. And I think that's kind of where he's at right now, whereas he kind of needs to prove himself a little bit, but I think he has the ability to do that. But I want to see it to believe it.
Is Notre Dame done recruiting in the transfer portal now, do you think, or when the new recruiting date comes out sometime in May, do you think Notre Dame will be an active participant in that?
Oh, I think so. I think you have to be, right? At this stage of college football, you have to be actively perusing the transfer portal because there's so many guys that are entering it. And so you can get some talent and you can kind of take this spring and see, okay, maybe we do need another safety, or maybe we do need this or that. And then you see what's out there. One person that we didn't really get to talk about was at wide receiver who entered the transfer portal was Caleb Smith. He was the receiver that was coming over from Virginia Tech, and he just surprised and made the announcement last week that he is retiring from football after making this transfer. And I thought that was really interesting, and especially that he put in there about focusing on his mental and physical health. So I think that's an interesting development. I was really disappointed to see that because he had a longstanding connection with Sam Hartman. Their dads played college football together, so they've known each other forever. They almost both played at Wake Forest together, but something kind of didn't work out with the early enrollee status for Caleb, so he ended up going to Virginia Tech. So it was like all this came together. They were finally going to get to play together. And I think he was expected to be in the mix, of being able to get in that starting rotation. And it just didn't work out for him. So we wish him the best, of course, but disappointed that they aren't going to be able to play together.
Have you had a chance? I guess the last thing I was going to ask you, the kicking game, didn't I read where they're looking for a new kicker?
Yes, I'll be.
Or did the old kick? That's something you don't pay attention to, but didn't the old kicker either graduate or leave or?
He did. He was here for a really long time. I don't remember how long, but
was he a grad transfer? Maybe I can't remember.
No, he had been here for a long time, and then he had that extra year because of the COVID year. So I want to say he played or was here like for 6 years or something. So he's moving on. So I don't know, to be perfectly honest, what the kicking situation is going to be like. But we know they have a new special teams coordinator here. Okay. So that'll be interesting because Brian Mason was fabulous last season and all the blocked punts. So it'll be interesting to see if that kind of continues or if that's going to be a sore spot now.
Exactly. Well, tell us about what your schedule is going to be for Saturday. So people up in our area can at least pay attention to it, and people,
and you can stream us also.
Well, tell us about how Saturday's going to work for you.
I'll talk forever. So if you guys want to just interrupt me and chime in, that's great. So our show is called ABC 57 Kickoff, and it is a Notre Dame football pregame show. And we are at all of the home games every Saturday from 10 till noon. And then we do a lot of away games too. And we're doing a special one for the Blue Gold game here this Saturday. So from 10 to noon locally on ABC 57, but also we stream everywhere on abc57.com. And like you guys said, it's amazing how many viewers we're getting around the country. And especially then when you add in social media. One of the things I'm bringing back is our Golick in a golf cart segment, which is wildly popular. Mike Golick, of course, there he is in his beloved golf cart. We just love him. He's still very active in the podcast world. But this fall, he said he's kind of taking a break from doing college football games, but he is calling NFL games still for radio. And so we have the opportunity with him. He lives here locally in South Bend.
He lives in one of those new condos there along Twickenham, maybe? I can't remember.
He lives right on Notre Dame Avenue in one of the very first big, beautiful homes built on Notre Dame Avenue. And he drives his golf cart all over campus. And so we bring him back on and we talk football with him, of course. Well, as part of that, we always he shares some memories and things of his time here on campus. And one thing he brings up is called Antostal. Have you guys ever heard of that? So he texts that to me and I'm like, Google it immediately. I was like, I thought it was a typo. I'm like, what the heck is Antostal? And it was back in his day in the 80s. It was this amazing, basically like a field day when you're an elementary school kid, field day, but for college kids. Yeah. So the events were wrestling pigs and tossing mattresses. They would have a mattress race with a girl, a co-ed on top, and they would run. And then whoever could throw the mattress across the finish line first would win. What do you think happened to that poor co-ed on top? And then he shares the story of
OSHA would like a word.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder why this kind of has gone by the wayside. They had a keg throwing contest. And
I'm shocked.
I have a picture of him in his tall socks in 1985 throwing a keg. And he said his brother Bob Golick came back, who at the time played in the NFL for the Cleveland Browns. He was like super popular. And he came back as a celebrity keg tosser. Well, he kind of overcorrected himself and tossed it right into the crowd of hundreds of people. And he broke someone's ankle. And that was the last time they ever did the keg toss.
I'm stunned.
Yeah, so we have many
liabilities.
Like that.
Heck, you guys could have done that for homecoming at Manchester when you were in school.
Well, no, we had a thing where they would throw the keg and we would catch it, and whoever actually caught one was the hero for the day.
That was back when you had your original liver, right? Where you could.
Yes, I could partake in. Yes,
he has shared some incredible stories with me over the years. They're hilarious. If you go to our website abc57.com and click down Golick, any one of them you want to select, he's told me about peeing in cups so that they could continue their 25-cent beer night at the Legends Bar on campus. We've taken his dogs out and the golf cart. We've played golf together. So he's a great guy, hilarious, super fun to be around. Another live guest that we're going to have on the show this week is Chicago Bears tight end Cole Kmet. Really excited to have one of these young guys on. And he's back on campus this spring, taking his final 3 classes to finish his degree at Notre Dame. And while he's here, he's rooming with his younger brother. There you see him. So Cole's the tall one. And then Casey is his younger brother, who is currently a senior on the Notre Dame baseball team. And Cole, he actually played baseball at Notre Dame as well. He was a 2-sport athlete. A lot of people forget that. And he probably could have had a chance. He was a pitcher. Nope, we'll get to that one in a minute. But there you go. And
like the wrong arrow.
That's okay. We're in the dugout there doing our interview. And but Cole and Casey, they kind of share their experience of just growing up. They're best of friends as little big brother, little brother, that dynamic. And Cole's going to throw out the first pitch at the Notre Dame baseball game on Friday. And then we'll have that special story sort of about that baseball and brotherly love. And then coming out of that, then Cole will be live on set with me and we'll talk football with him.
Sounds like a fun Saturday.
Yes.
it really does sound like a fun Saturday for the. Actually, the opening of this season. Now they have their summer workouts and all their summer stuff, but this kind of opens it up, and fans will be out there. I'm sure it'll be a great day. The weather's supposed to be really cool. Really nice, right?
It's supposed to be nasty, really nasty. So we're
Seriously?
actually moving our show inside Purcell Pavilion.
Where are you going to be? Yeah,
We're
it's like
inside.
45 and
Oh.
cold, 45 with a cold rain, right?
And wind also. Wind is expected to be a factor too. Yeah, it's going to probably be pretty nasty out. So if you do
won't
go
be
on
in your
campus,
regular corner. Are you
No,
going to be
we
just
won't be
inside the same
outside.
corner?
we'll be there next in the fall, and we would have been there Saturday, but because of the weather, we're moving inside. Also, just a heads up, if you're coming out to the game, all of the Joyce Center lot is completely tore up for construction. So it's all free to park wherever, but just don't plan on the Joyce lot. You can do stadium baseball lot over there by Compton Family Ice Arena, but don't plan to park in the Joyce. And that's our normal backdrop for our show too.
Right.
So it's like all tore up. So if you want to come by and see us, we're upstairs in Purcell Pavilion. Go in the main doors, go up to the right, and you'll see us.
Okay, there you go.
All right. Well, listen, thanks for spending some time with us this evening. I know you got a lot, you're really busy. You got a lot of stuff rolling. And I know a lot of our listeners we're excited to hear your commentary about Notre Dame football. And obviously, you're a lot better looking to look at than me, Pat, and Scott, right?
I love the title for this show.
That.
Rose Between Two Thorns is really a rose between three thorns. Sorry there, Scott. I got to add you in there too, you know.
We got the youngster in here. So, yeah.
I'm not even a thorn. I'm still a root in the soil.
Just the young pup. Well, before I leave, I want to say, and you can transition then into baseball if you want, but you saw that other photograph, and that's me. I'm interviewing Trey Mancini, and we kind of like to, dabble a little bit into some other avenues. And he's a current Chicago Cubs player. He played baseball for Notre Dame. He was drafted by the Baltimore Orioles, and then in 2020, he found out that he had colon cancer. He was just in his late 20s, and there was literally a time where he thought he was not going to play baseball again, but he went after it head on and went through chemo and everything, had surgery to remove it. And he's doing great now. And he actually won a World Series for the Houston Astros last season. And so just an incredible journey for him. I'll have his story on ABC 57 Kickoff as well. And of course, now he's a Chicago Cub, although he's having a little bit of a rough week here, but he just hit his first home run for the Cubs just last week. So he's getting in there and getting into that rotation too.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. I know
you
joined in here. I know you've got a busy evening ahead of you, still getting things ready for Saturday. So I appreciate you taking the time, and lots of good information, things that we would not have had access to. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much. Anytime I can come on, I love it. Thank you guys.
This has been fun.
Allison, be cool. See you. Thanks.
Go do your thing. See you. Bye now.
So Trey Mancini is a first baseman, right fielder, DH. It came over, started his career with the Orioles, then got traded to the Astros last year, got himself a World Series ring with the Astros, and then the Cubs signed him. Yeah, and the Cubs, and now he's kind of sharing some first base stuff with Eric Hosmer, but he's not hitting the ball. He's hitting under 200, and hopefully coming back to the friendly confines will be good for him. The Cubs now are 11-6.
I haven't checked the latest stuff, but
yeah, they're 11-6, coming off of a 5-1 West Coast trip where they were 2-1 against the Dodgers and swept the lowly A's 3-0, and playing really, really well. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to transition into just for a minute or two, because I know Allison helped to kick off the South Bend Cubs home opener last week, or 2 weeks ago, and the South Bend Cubs. I mean, I don't know how many times you get out to those games, Pat, but the South Bend Cub games are fun to get out to. The ballpark food is great. The ballpark is outstanding, and believe it or not, the minor leagues that the Cubs have put together in both AAA, AA. South Bend is high advanced A, and then there's single A over at Myrtle Beach. The Cubs minor leagues are really, really rated with really, really good young players. And Steve Berlin bought this ballpark here. He's a Cub guy. He's got deep pockets. He refurbished it. He put those apartments in the outfield to look like Wrigley Field, with the apartments in the background. The South Bend Cubs right now are 7-4. They won the championship last year. They were really good. They have a really, really good player, a highly rated player for the parent Chicago Cubs, a kid named Kevin Alcantara. He's about a 6'6" kid that they got in the Anthony Rizzo trade, and he's really talented. He's kind of scuffling a little bit right now. He's about down to 216. They got a couple really good young pitchers. A kid named Cole Franklin. They got a 6'6" lefty reliever named Luke Little, and that'll be really exciting baseball to watch, especially if the Myrtle Beach, which is regular single A, if Myrtle Beach gets off to a good start and some of those prospects get bumped up to South Bend high into the high A Liga, there's a kid you got to watch out for, a shortstop who's 19 years old. His name is Christian Hernandez. And he's, everybody who talks about him says he's a young Derek Jeter. He looks like Derek Jeter. He plays like Derek Jeter. He's really quick. He's really a really good baseball player. He's a kid that somewhere down the line could be bumped up to high A, along with their number one draft pick last year, a kid named Cade Horton, who's a really good pitcher, 7 innings. He hadn't given up a run yet down in Myrtle Beach, and he's another pitcher that could get bumped up to high A. So baseball in South Bend this summer will be rolling, and man, there's nothing I like better than going eating some ballpark food and watching some good baseball.
And the way they've got it set up now, you park there across the street in the old Gates lot, and you basically enter through center field. Their main entrances are at center field, and then you walk around, and they've got left field. You can stay there in left field if you want, or you can go get your regular seats. I think Tuesday, we're hoping to be over there Tuesday. We're still waiting on confirmation, but I think John said that's doggy night or something, where you can bring your dog to the ballpark on Tuesday night.
Well, my dog Tess is about 14 years old, a St. Bernard. She ain't making that trip. But let me continue. Let me continue just for a minute here. The Tennessee Smokies are their Double A affiliate.
Great name.
They have the number one prospect in the Cubs organization, a player by the name of Pete Crow Armstrong, who the Cubs got in the trade for Javi Baez from the New York Mets. And Pete Crow Armstrong is hitting 343 right now, and he's going to be the next phenom for Chicago. He's a center fielder. They say that he's ready to play. He's ready to play defense in the major leagues right now. He's just got to work on his hitting. And as we know about the Cubbies now, their center fielder is Cody Bellinger, the former MVP, the former Rookie of the Year, who played really well for the Los Angeles Dodgers for a number of years, and just kind of, fell kind of off a little bit and struggled the last couple years. The Cubs brought him in on a 1-year deal, and he's hitting, maybe 278 now, and he's going to hold center field down for a year until Pete Crow Armstrong gets ready. But Pete Crow Armstrong is the number one prospect, and he's playing really well at Double A right now.
So the team, basically the path for the players is they go from South Bend, which is the high A, then they go to Tennessee, which is the Double A, and then they go to Des Moines, Iowa. Des Moines, the Triple A.
Yeah, the AAA and the AAA club right now is 9-4. They have probably 2 or 3 guys that played for the Cubbies last year, but they sent them down to work on some things. They have a kid named Christopher Morel, who the Cubs brought up from AA last year. He's hitting 367 in AAA. He's got 4 home runs already. But the reason, and so this is kind of a double-edged sword a little bit, because the reason the Cubs sent Christopher Morel down to AAA was to cut back on his strikeouts. at the end of the season, he struck out a lot. So he's at AAA. He's in 367. He's got 4 dingers, but in 16 games, or in 13 games, he struck out 18 times. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So I mean, how I take this is he's either striking out or he's getting a base knock or he's hitting a home run, but he's not really getting any better at cutting those strikeouts down.
Right.
And I know that the temptation to bring him up will be really strong because of the way he's hitting the ball. But he's got to work on cutting those strikeouts down. They got a kid named Nelson Velasquez who they brought up. He played 2 games for the Cubs. He went like 5 for 7. He went 5 for 7 with a grand slam, and they sent him back down because Seiya Suzuki was coming back from an injury. So the Cubs are really, really well positioned with young baseball players at the minor league level, and I think you've seen teams for years the Los Angeles Dodgers. Their minor league levels were stocked. Mm-hmm. And when they wanted to make a trade, they could go make a trade because they had really good minor leaguers. The Yankees minor leaguers were stacked, and whenever they wanted or they needed to move a guy up, they moved a guy up.
Right.
If they wanted to go get a player, they had players that other teams wanted. So I think Jed Hoyer and the infrastructure of the Chicago Cubs has done a really, really nice job of building the minor league teams and giving the Cubs options when it comes to either wanting to go out trade players or moving players up. And I'll give you one name. That, and of course, I'm a diehard Cub fan, so I'm always going to know the scoop, and I'm always going to know what's going on. But Shohei Ohtani will not be happy in Los Angeles if Los Angeles doesn't make it to the playoffs. He can be a free agent next year, but they were talking about if the Angels aren't playing, so Ohtani's going to be a free agent and will leave for nothing. If the Yankees or if the Angels aren't in consideration at the trade deadline this year, the Angels might be open to trading him. And the Cubs have the right pieces down at the minor league level to go get a player like Ohtani, who's just one of the really, really special players that's ever played in this game yet.
Yeah, that'd be a big trade right there. That's for sure. And like you said, they could use a lot of those minor league players in the package for him.
Yeah. So then you can't give up half your minor league stockpile of players unless you know you can sign Ohtani because just to trade for him and get him for 2 months and lose all that.
And then turn around losing.
That minor league draft capital, you can't do that. So it has to be a deal where you know that Ohtani's going to sign for $500,000. He's going to sign for $500,000, maybe 10, 12 years. And if you get into that sweepstakes and you get into that Ohtani game, you better have the pockets that are deep enough, not only to trade for him,
but to keep him,
but to sign him.
Yeah.
And so I think that'll be the big case. One of his really good friends plays right field for the Cubs, Seiya Suzuki. But so everybody always talks about that, but that doesn't mean anything. What means everything is how much cash you're getting and how good is the ball club you're going to. Right?
They still want to play for a winner. And I think what was interesting, I think last night the Angels played the Yankees, and they had a ninth inning, top of the ninth, and Ohtani was up and hit one deep to right, and Judge at 6'7" reached up and stole it, and it would have been the game winner. It would have been the game winner, and it was so you had the two best players in the league, arguably, and he knocks one out of the park, and Judge goes up there and goaltends the thing and steals it from him. So
I think Ohtani is a generational player.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
I don't think there's been a player like Ohtani since Babe Ruth.
Yeah,
that could pitch.
And here's Aaron Judge, and they were talking about Aaron Judge's defense because he hit 62 home runs last year, and here's Judge stealing a home run from arguably the best player in a generation.
Yeah. So I think I think so. All of the changes now that Major League Baseball made with the clock on the pitchers, where you have 15 seconds if there's no runner on base to deliver a pitch. You got 20 seconds if there's a base runner. The batter has a certain amount of time to get into the batter's box. So they have cut the length of those games down now, on average about 24 minutes, and there's a rule now where you can only throw over to first base twice. So the steals are up because
that was my next question.
And the bases are bigger too.
Can you steal bases? I mean, the analytics have been saying do not steal, stay where you are. Now the analytics
now are saying steal.
Right.
The Cubs have the leader in stolen bases this year, a kid named Nico Horner. And he's not a blazer. He's just a good base runner. But he leads the league with 9 so far, because once that pitcher throws that second throw over to first base, he can't. I mean, he can't make another throw over there. Once he makes the first throw over there, it's a pretty safe bet. He's not going to throw over the second time. And base runners are getting great jumps off of the pitchers. Not only are they stealing second base, but they're stealing third base. And so
it's got to be.
And so when you get base runners in action,
it
livens the game
up.
It does. And the fans like it. They banned the shifts now, so there's no more three infields over on the second base side now. Now you have to have both feet in the dirt. You can't be in the grass. So those left-handed pole hitters now, their average is probably going to go up 12 to 15 points, because a lot of those hard shots that they were hitting in the hole on that right side are getting through now. So I think the game sets up for a nice afternoon of baseball now. I mean, hopefully those 1-0 games, those are still fun to watch, because I mean, pitching is still good, but I think the runs per game is obviously up, and cutting those games down by 24 minutes, a game, I think is great.
I agree.
And to put a bow on what you had said about Ohtani, I just looked it up. The biggest contract in MLB history was Mike Trout signed for $360 million for 9 years. So Ohtani, if he gets re-signed by really anybody, he'll get 500 for sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. And who deserve? I don't think, let's face it, guys. I don't think anybody deserves that kind of money. But it's the game, and it's the trends in the game. But if you're going to pay a guy that kind of money, then you're going to pay a guy that can go out every fifth day and potentially throw a shutout, and then a guy who's going to be your DH and potentially hit 38 to 40 homers. I think you're getting your money's worth on that kind of a deal. If there's any deal that could get you your money's worth, in today's market, I don't know.
Yeah, and there's no salary cap. They pay him whatever.
I need to start. Yep, I need to start watching some more baseball, because I'll watch an inning or two, but I just haven't watched more than.
Well, here's what I got to start doing. So I have this artificial left shoulder now. I got a new shoulder. I'm trying to learn to throw left-handed, because left-handed relievers they pitch in the big leagues till they're freaking
you got a little juice left. You can go in there as a reliever.
No, I got a bionic arm, man. Who knows? Who knows? Those guys are still pitching in their late 40s. The lefty relievers.
Well, I was going to say, I will tell you, my son-in-law down in Nashville will tell you. Batting practice pitchers are in huge demand right now. That's been one of the things that he's been offered, is a couple of places want him to go on the road and pitch, go with the team and pitch batting practice.
Well, especially if you're going to face a lefty that night.
Yeah.
So if you're going to face a lefty that night, they want a lefty throwing batting practice that day. Mm-hmm. Just to get the. I mean, the hitters and baseball players now. I'm not saying they're spoiled, because they're really, really good at what they do. I mean, to hit a baseball at 95 miles an hour, the bat's not very big. That is a tough skill. But baseball players today, I mean, whatever advantage you can possibly have in technology and all of that stuff. Baseball players have all that information now. And I know it's still a game of failure. I mean, I know that 10 at bats, you get 10 at bats, the numbers show that you're going to fail on 7 of them. And if you get 3 hits out of 10, you're going to make a lot of money. But the advantages that players have over the players, the only thing the players had a long time ago was maybe they got some free chewing tobacco and they would spit on the ump's shoes or something like that. But they never had all these numbers and all these analytics to help them. They just went out and played baseball, man.
Exactly. Hey, I'm just looking at the notes. Your boy Q's listening to us. He's wrote you a couple notes there about. He mentioned Satchel Paige being one of your pitchers and stuff. So
no, Satchel pitched till he was like 70.
Yeah.
I mean, so you think I'm kidding? I got Monica in the front yard, and I'm trying to throw some left-handed stuff to her with this bionic shoulder, and who knows?
How long before she got mad about chasing the ball all the time when she went?
Well, I didn't get her any. I didn't throw anywhere she could catch, but that's all right.
Hey,
listen, boys.
We're at a turning point. We got to continue the playoffs. I thought Tuesday we would talk seriously about the draft because the draft's coming up next week. So we'll talk about the draft on Tuesday. We can talk some NBA basketball Tuesday.
And his Q, if he's listening, he's as big of a Bear fan as I am, and everybody's been. The Bears got 10 picks and blah, blah, blah. And so everybody's got these mock drafts, and it'll be really interesting to talk about it on Tuesday night. Our show is won't be Monday nights.
Right.
We have to switch it to Tuesday, 6:30 to 7:30. Hopefully we'll be in Four Winds Field where the South Bend Cubs play. If not, we'll be back at Bar Louie's. Make sure you listen in. Q, you're the best. Hope your dad is feeling better.
Hope so.
And Pat, I'm going to head over to church here. I got a service I'm going to go to tonight. I'm going to say a nice prayer for you, man. Scotty, you're the best, man. So are you in Texas yet, Scotty?
Yep, sitting down here at the American Training Center Hotel, about to go lift weights.
All right, man.
Yeah,
tell your lovely bride we said hi, man, and you guys keep rolling. Great show tonight. Allison was cool. She gave us some great info and great show. So I'll look forward to hanging with you on Tuesday, Pat, and then we'll talk about next week whether we're going to do a Zoom on Thursday or not. And man, I love these Zooms. I can sit at the crib.
Yeah, these are easy.
I can wear a hat. I can like see you and Scott. Scott's in Texas, man. Are you kidding me? It's like he's right here in our living room.
Well, I know it. He's sitting in a hotel room.
Scott's our general. So I've been looking for a title. Scott's our GM. He's our general manager, man. I think Scott's got to be our general manager, man.
Well, we may have to get Q on here too as one of our guests, although I don't know if that's a good idea or not. You have to decide that one.
Well, no, Q on
here on the Thursday.
No, Q will get on there with a wonderful cigar. He loves those cigars. He'll get on there with a wonderful cigar, and maybe next week when we do a Zoom, maybe we'll get him on for 10 minutes because he'll be able to give us all the insight on the Chicago Bears draft.
Yep, I agree.
All right, guys, you guys are the best, man.
Scott, close us out. We'll get out of here. We'll see everybody on Tuesday.
Yeah, see you guys on Tuesday. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, go to broadcastsport.net. See these two guys do the live show this Tuesday, not Monday, but Tuesday. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Adios. You guys are the best.